Welcome to ChillSpill, where we explore the unknown, the eerie, and the spine-chilling stories that keep you up at night. Before we begin, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a moment of terror. It started on a quiet, uneventful evening. Just like any other, with the soft hum of the refrigerator in the background and the flickering of the TV. But little did Mark, the protagonist of our story, know that this night would shatter his perception of reality. A dimly lit bedroom. The camera focuses on a vintage phone sitting on a nightstand. The room is empty, peaceful. Mark was sitting in his room, scrolling through his phone, when the landline rang. At first, he ignored it. After all, who even uses landlines these days? But something pulled him to the receiver. An odd feeling. He picked it up. A hand reaching for the vintage landline. The screen shakes slightly as the receiver is lifted, setting the eerie tone. When Mark said, "Hello," the voice on the other end was faint, but distinct. It sounded familiar. It was the voice of someone he had lost years ago, his father, who had passed away in a tragic accident. Soft, ghostly whisper, "Mark. Mark. Can you hear me?" Mark froze. His father's voice. It had been 5 years since that accident. 5 years of silence. But here it was. His heart raced. He didn't know what to say. The phone call appears to get distorted, static buzzing as the voice continues. Mark's face reflects shock and confusion. At first, he thought it was a prank, maybe a recording, but then, the calls kept coming. Every night, sometimes more than once a night. Always the same voice. His father. He couldn't explain it. The phone never rang from a number he recognized. It always showed up as unknown. Mark looking at the caller ID, which says, unknown, then answering it with a tense expression. Each time, the voice becomes more urgent and desperate. The voice started mentioning details only Mark's father would know. His favorite childhood memories. Mark's old home address. Things no one else could have known. It was as though his father was still watching over him, still trying to communicate from beyond the grave. Urgent whisper, "You need to leave, Mark. They're coming for you." The cryptic message left Mark rattled. Who was they? And what did his father mean by leave? Quick cuts of Mark looking through old family pictures, his confusion deepening with each passing day. Each phone call leaves him more unsettled. As the days passed, Mark's life started to unravel. He felt like he was being watched. Items in his house moved on their own. The air felt heavier, colder. And every night, the phone would ring. Objects shifting in the background as Mark walks through his house. A door creaking open by itself, his breath fogging up in the hallway. Desperate for answers, Mark decided to visit his father's grave. Maybe, just maybe, it was his father trying to send a message. But when he arrived, what he found left him speechless. Mark at a cemetery, walking past rows of tombstones. He stops at his father's grave, staring down at the inscription. The camera pans to reveal an unsettling detail. A fresh set of footprints leading away from the grave, though no one was around. That night, the phone rang again. Mark answered it one last time, fully expecting to hear his father's voice. But this time, it wasn't his father. A distorted, unrecognizable voice. "You shouldn't have come here, Mark. They know you're close." The voice wasn't just eerie, it was sinister. There was something dark, something malevolent on the other side of that line. The voice continued, the tone growing colder, more threatening. The phone screen glitches. Mark's hand trembles as he holds the receiver. The walls of the room seem to close in around him. As Mark was about to hang up, something strange happened. He heard a click, followed by an old, familiar sound. A dial tone. The phone line cuts. The camera zooms in on Mark's face, his eyes wide with terror. Suddenly, the door behind him slams shut, the room growing darker. Mark never heard from his father again, but the phone calls didn't stop. In fact, they continued, just not to Mark. A few weeks later, Mark's brother received a call. The voice on the other end? His father's. Quick cuts of Mark's brother answering the phone, his face growing pale as he listens to the voice on the other end. The screen fades to black. What Mark never realized was that the calls were never about him. They were a warning to those who still remembered. To those who still loved. And now, as the lines between the dead and the living blur, the question remains. Will you be next? The ChillSpill logo fades in with eerie music. The screen goes dark. only the sound of a phone ringing in the background. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this chilling tale, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a spine-tingling story. Until next time, stay safe, and stay curious.